If you're a leader in your organization, if you help to set culture, or if you help manage people, this is going to be a video that I don't think you're going to want to miss. I haven't really spent a lot of time on the Great Resignation, not for any particular purpose, but I just thought that there was a lot out there in the media, a lot of talking heads talking about it, and I didn't really have anything to add to that specific conversation. But I did figure something out that I thought I'd want to share with you. As always, please like, share, or comment on the video. I think there might be some things in here that other people might be able to benefit from. So feel free to share this video with them. The Great Resignation really was coined the Great Resignation after it had already snowballed. The country, the world changed in 2020 with COVID-19. It really was a time of reflection. Employees were looking at themselves. They had a lot of time to spend with their families, and they really evaluated their companies. And they made a decision. They said to themselves, is this the company that I want to work for? Am I being properly valued here? If so, they decided to stay. If there was a disconnect, a lot of those employees decided to leave. By the time it had already snowballed, it was given this great name, the Great Recession. News organizations were running stories on it, and companies were hemorrhaging. Companies had already begun to right-size their organizations after COVID-19, but then another right-sizing happened. It was a voluntary right-sizing of people evaluating their thoughts, their processes, their coworkers, their managers, their leaders, and the values that those companies represented. So in reaction to this, and what generally happens when we react to things, anytime we react to things, we're always not going to be right. Generally, when you are addressing something from a reactionary standpoint, you're already lost. So companies began to do things that were out of character. While there is a 4-10 structure out there, a lot of companies began to adopt things like, well, how can I have people work 4 days a week? As if that was the answer. Companies decided to have no meetings Fridays, as if that was the answer. Companies began to give all the bells and whistles that really didn't align to who the company was. And people still left. Companies were amazed, and they're kind of caught flat-footed as to, we're doing all of these things, why aren't people staying? My reaction is going to be different from a lot of the reactions that you'll read from a lot of the talking heads or that you'll see on television. My reaction is for companies to understand first who they are. Identify your core principles, your core values, your core objectives, and actually live those out. It's not necessary to bring in a new shiny object, especially if you're going to revert back to who you were shortly after you reveal that bright shiny object. It's similar to someone who in January says, you know what, this year I'm really going to do it. I'm really going to work out. And then a few weeks later, they fail. This is not to shame anyone. This is just to say that what often happens is we have these great ideas of things we want to do, but it doesn't really happen because we revert back to who we were. This has happened with companies. We're going to do this, and we're going to work from home, and we're going to do this, and then what happens is the company culture isn't a work from home culture, and everyone is being sent back in. Employees feel that, and then they leave. Or we're going to work 4 days a week, and we're not going to have meetings on Fridays, and then the employee looks at their calendar, and then they're going to have a ton of meetings on Friday. It's not about the meetings or the PTO or the 4-day work week or whatever else comes out. What it's really about is people doing what they said they were going to do. A fundamental value of trust. And in order for this to happen, people who lead culture and people in organizations need to understand, one, who is the company? What do we stand for? What do we want to do? And align on that. When that is aligned, put through the entire organization, people will see that. And it will have benefits that will reap dividends down the road. One, internally, the company will be better. The company will be centered on the things that are their core competencies, and they'll be executing on those things because those things align to who the company is. Second, people on the outside will want to be a part of the company because once the company has aligned on what they want to do, they'll begin to achieve the goals that they've already set out. It'll be success after success after success. Now, this sounds easy, and people who are listening to this who are leading the culture or leading people are like, but that sounds easy. It's hard to do. Well, it's hard to do if A, you don't know who you are. It's hard to do if there are no objectives aligned, or two, if the objectives aren't really the objectives of the company. And these are just things that were thought up by a marketing agency that don't actually align to who the company is. I would say if that's the case, then you've got bigger problems than executing on the objectives. So I hope that you found this video informative and helpful. As always, if you think someone might benefit from hearing this, please share it with them. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.